$284 million. That's how much Nick Woodman paid himself in 2014. The same year, GoPro earned $128 million in profit. Think about that. The CEO took more than double what the entire company made. And if you think that's just a rich guy being greedy, you're missing the point. Because that decision, that single moment of excess, set off a chain reaction that would destroy $10 billion in value, cost thousands of people their jobs, and turn one of the most exciting companies in America into a cautionary tale about what happens when founders confuse success with invincibility. Let me tell you what really killed GoPro. Because it wasn't smartphones. It wasn't Chinese competitors. It wasn't drones. What killed GoPro was something far simpler and far more preventable. And it's happening right now to companies you think are unstoppable. Picture this. June 26, 2014. GoPro goes public. The IPO price is set at $24 per share. By the end of the first day of trading, it closes at $31. Within 4 months, the stock hits $93.85. The company is worth almost $12 billion. Nick Woodman, the surfer who started this whole thing by selling bead necklaces out of a Volkswagen van, is now worth $3 billion personally. He's on magazine covers. Comparisons to Steve Jobs, youngest billionaire in America, the man who created an entire product category from nothing. Action cameras didn't exist before GoPro. Now they are everywhere. Every extreme sport, every adventure, every moment people want to capture from their own perspective. GoPro didn't just make a product. They made a cultural phenomenon. And Wall Street is in love. Analysts are projecting massive growth, expansion into drones, into media, into software. GoPro isn't just a camera company. It's a lifestyle brand, a media company, the next Red Bull. The possibilities are endless. And Nick Woodman is standing at the center of it all, 39 years old, with the world at his feet. Here's what nobody saw coming. That peak, October 2014, $12 billion valuation. That was it. That was the top. Everything after that moment is decline. By 2015, the stock is falling. By 2016, the company is in crisis. By 2017, they're exploring a sale because bankruptcy is a real possibility. By 2024, the stock is trading around $1. Market cap $200 million. 99% destroyed. From $12 billion to $200 million in 10 years. And thousands of employees who believed in the vision, who worked brutal hours to build something special, watching their stock options become worthless while their CEO bought yachts and private jets. So what happened? What went so catastrophically wrong that a company dominating an entire market could collapse this fast? Let me show you. Because the pattern is clear once you know what to look for. Start with the beginning. 2002. Nick Woodman is on a surf trip in Australia and Indonesia. He's trying to capture himself surfing. Straps a 35mm camera to his hand with a rubber band. The photos are terrible. He realizes amateur athletes have no good way to film themselves. That's the idea. Create a wearable camera that's durable, waterproof, affordable. He borrows $200,000 from his father, a successful investment banker. $35,000 from his mother plus a sewing machine to make camera straps. He and his girlfriend, later wife Jill, sell bead necklaces and shell belts out of their VW van along the California coast to raise $10,000 more. That's the founding capital. $245,000 total. 2004. First big sale. A Japanese company orders 100 cameras at a sports show. Sales double every year after that. 2005, $350,000 in revenue. 2012, 2.3 million cameras sold. This is organic growth. Real demand. People love the product. It works. It's affordable. It captures moments nothing else can. By 2013, revenue hits $1 billion. The company is printing money. December 2012. Foxconn, the Taiwanese manufacturing giant that makes iPhones, invests $200 million for 888% of GoPro. That values the company at $2.25 billion. Nick Woodman becomes a billionaire on paper, but is not satisfied with paper. He wants the IPO. He wants the validation. He wants the world to see what he built. June 2014. They go public, and Wall Street goes insane. The stock more than triples in 4 months. Suddenly, Nick Woodman is being compared to Steve Jobs. Tech visionary. Innovator. The man who invented a category. And here's where the story changes. Because success does something to people. Especially sudden, massive, overwhelming success. It creates a sense of invincibility. A belief that you're special. That the rules don't apply to you. That you can't fail. And when you're the founder, when you control the company, when everyone around you is telling you you're a genius, that belief becomes dangerous. 2014. Nick Woodman pays himself $284.5 million. Not salary. Stock awards. 4.5 million restricted stock units granted at the IPO, valued at the end of the year. This makes him the highest paid CEO in America. Higher than Tim Cook at Apple. Higher than anyone. But here's the difference. Apple made $50 billion in profit that year. GoPro made $128 million. Woodman took more than double the company's entire profit for himself. And then he went shopping. 180-foot yacht called Driftwood. Custom built. $40 million. Annual operating costs $2 to $4 million. Gulfstream G5 private jet. Oceanfront properties in Hawaii. Montana estate at the exclusive Yellowstone Club. Vintage sports car collection. He promised his college roommate 10% of everything from the IPO. That cost him $230 million in stock. Kept his word. Generous. Admirable. Also insane when your company needs every dollar to compete. Because here's what's happening while Nick is buying toys. The company is hiring like crazy. 700 employees at IPO. 1,600 employees 18 months later. More than doubled headcount. Why? Because they're not just a camera company anymore. They're building a media division. Hiring executives from HBO, from Hulu. Paying top dollar. They're launching GoPro channel. User-generated content. Viral videos. Building a media empire. They're developing drones. The Karma drone. Competing with DJI. They're expanding internationally. China. Europe. Everywhere. They're trying to become the next Red Bull. Energy drink company that's actually a media company. Sounds great on paper. In practice, disaster. June 2015. They launched the Hero 4 Session. Simplest GoPro ever made. Priced at $399. Massively overpriced. No marketing. Confusing product. Nobody understands what it does. Sales tank. They have to cut the price to $299, then $199. Kills margins. Destroys credibility. Meanwhile, the media division is bleeding money. Hundreds of millions invested. Zero revenue. Content creation is expensive. Distribution is hard. Nobody's watching GoPro channel when YouTube exists. The whole strategy doesn't make sense. And smartphones are getting better. Much better. Image stabilization. 4K video. Waterproof phones. The casual market, people who bought GoPros for vacation videos, they gone. Why carry a separate device when your phone works? GoPro's market is shrinking to hardcore enthusiasts only. Extreme athletes. Professional content creators. A niche within a niche. But the company is still spending like their mass market. Still hiring. Still expanding. Still investing in everything except the core product. The cameras themselves. And then comes the Karma drone. 2013. DJI, the Chinese drone maker, approaches GoPro. They propose a partnership. DJI makes drones. GoPro makes cameras. Put them together. Integrated solution. Perfect synergy. Negotiations start. But GoPro wants too much. They think their brand is worth more than DJI's technology. They demand a larger share of revenue. DJI walks away. Says fine, we'll make our own cameras. Turns out making cameras is easier than making drones. DJI succeeds. Creates integrated products. Dominates the market. GoPro decides they'll make their own drone anyway. September 2016. Karma drone launches. Disaster from day one. The drones are falling out of the sky. Literally. Power failure mid-flight. Crashes. GoPro issues a recall. All Karma drones. Total recall. 2,000 units. Catastrophic for the brand. They bring it back in February 2017 after fixes. Too late. The damage is done. DJI owns 70% of the consumer drone market. Nobody trusts Karma. January 2018. GoPro exits the drone business entirely. Shut down. Complete failure. Hundreds of millions lost. Let me show you the financial collapse in real time. 2015. Revenue peaks at $1.6 billion. Highest ever. Stock is still above $40. 2016. Revenue drops to $1.18 billion. 26% decline. The stock falls to $15. Company announces first round of layoffs. 100 employees. 7% of workforce. November 2016. 200 more layoffs. 15% of workforce gone. They shut down the media division. The entire strategy abandoned. March 2017. 270 more layoffs. The company is contracting. Fast. January 2018. Karma shut down. 250 more employees fired. Workforce down to under 1,000 from peak of 1,600. Almost 40% of employees gone. Revenue 2017, $1.18 billion. Flat. No growth. Net loss $182.9 million. 56% worse than prior year. The company is dying. April 2018. Nick Woodman's salary gets cut to $1. Not voluntary. The board does it. He missed all his performance bonuses. The company hires bankers to explore a sale. They're trying to sell GoPro. Nobody wants it. The stock is at $4. Market cap $712 million. Down 94% from peak. And here's the brutal part. In 2014, when Nick Woodman took $284 million for himself, he donated 5.8 million shares of GoPro stock to his family foundation. Tax write-off. Avoided $450 million in taxable income. Avoided capital gains taxes. Smart financial planning. But those donated shares were worth $500 million in 2014. By 2018, they're worth $36 million. 93% destroyed. Even his charitable donations got wiped out. So what killed GoPro? Let me be very clear. It wasn't market forces. It wasn't competition. It wasn't technology. GoPro killed itself through a series of completely avoidable mistakes driven by founder arrogance and financial recklessness. Mistake 1. The CEO took too much money too fast. $284 million in 2014 when the company made $128 million. That money should have gone to R&D. Should have gone to competing with DJI. Should have gone to improving cameras. Should have stayed in the business. Instead it bought yachts and jets. Mistake 2. Massive overhiring without discipline. 700 to 1,600 employees in 18 months. Doubling headcount when you're a one-product company is insane. No management structure. No cost controls. Just growth for growth's sake. Mistake 3. The media strategy. Trying to become Red Bull. GoPro wasn't a media company. They were a hardware company. Stay in your lane. Perfect the product. Let users create content. Don't compete with YouTube. Complete waste of hundreds of millions. Mistake 4. The DJI partnership rejection. Arrogance. Pure arrogance. Thinking GoPro's brand was more valuable than DJI's technology. Wrong. Catastrophically wrong. If they partnered, GoPro would own action camera drones. Instead, DJI owns everything and GoPro wasted hundreds of millions on karma before admitting failure. Mistake 5. Neglecting the core product. Smartphones were getting better every year. GoPro needed to innovate faster. Better stabilization. Better battery life. Better software. Instead, they focused on drones and media while the actual camera stagnated. Chinese competitors like Insta360 built better products at half the price. Game over. The pattern is identical to every failed company. Success breeds arrogance. Arrogance breeds overconfidence. Overconfidence breeds terrible decisions. Terrible decisions destroy value. Nokia thought they didn't need Android. Yahoo thought they didn't need Google. GoPro thought they didn't need discipline. All wrong. All bankrupt or irrelevant. But here's what makes GoPro special. The company didn't die. It's still alive. Zombie company. 2024, they still sell cameras. Still make product. Revenue around $1 billion annually. But the stock is $1. Market cap $200 million. Bankruptcy probability 33%. They survive year to year, never growing, never thriving, just existing. And Nick Woodman is still CEO, still running the company. Net worth dropped from $3 billion to under $800 million. Still wealthy, still living well. But his legacy is destroyed. He's not Steve Jobs. He's the guy who had everything and blew it. The surfer who created something amazing and then got high on his own supply. Here's what this means for you. Because the lesson isn't about cameras or drones or action sports. The lesson is about discipline, about focus, about understanding the difference between temporary advantage and permanent value. GoPro had first mover advantage in action cameras. That advantage was temporary. They needed to build permanent value through continuous innovation, cost discipline, strategic focus. They did none of that. They spent like drunken sailors, expanded into businesses they didn't understand, took eyes off the core product. By the time they realized the mistake, competitors had caught up and passed them. There's a reason Tim Cook's compensation at Apple, even though massive, represents a tiny fraction of Apple's profits. Because Apple is worth $3 trillion. They can afford it. GoPro was worth $12 billion at peak. Nick Woodman taking $284 million was 23% of peak market cap going to one person. In 1 year. Insane, indefensible, and ultimately suicidal for the business. Right now, there are startups raising money at billion-dollar valuations. Founders buying houses and cars and living like they've already won. And they're making the exact same mistake. Confusing fundraising with revenue. Confusing valuation with value. Confusing temporary hype with permanent success. Most of them will fail. Just like GoPro. Because success isn't about the peak. It's about sustainability. It's about discipline. It's about making hard choices when everything seems easy. Nick Woodman had a chance to build something that lasted. He built something that collapsed. From $12 billion to $200 million. From cultural phenomenon to zombie company. From Steve Jobs comparisons to cautionary tale. And the saddest part? It was completely avoidable. Every single mistake was a choice. A choice to take too much money. A choice to hire too fast. A choice to expand into media. A choice to build drones alone. A choice to neglect cameras. Every choice wrong. Every consequence predictable. Every outcome preventable. That's the real story of GoPro. Not bad luck. Not market forces. Just bad decisions by someone who thought he was too successful to fail. Turns out nobody is.